Okay, so now you guys have learned about within condition analysis. So the next step is to analyze patterns and data across conditions. So that is called between adjacent condition analysis. So that's really looking at data patterns between two different conditions that are next to each other. So when we move from one condition to another, we only change one variable. We want to control for any of those extraneous variables that could impact our dependent variable. So we only change one variable. Typically, if you're going from baseline to intervention, that would be just the intervention being the impact. And that's really so that we can assess for that functional relationship. The below figure here is actually from the second edition of Gaston Ledford. It's no longer in the current edition, but I did want to keep it here in the lecture material because I think it really is a great visual in order to look at different types of data patterns for between condition analysis. So again, this is not currently in your textbook. It is here only in this lecture material. It's from the previous edition. But this figure here basically shows different types of data patterns with adjacent conditions. So you can see here that with condition E, it is just a zero trend flat line from baseline to intervention or from condition 1 to condition 2. So there's just different areas that you can see here as to be highlighted or take note of. Some of the examples that we'll go through right now relate or correspond to that figure as well. So one of the first things that you want to do when you're analyzing between conditions is to identify the relative level change, and you do that by following the below steps. You first identify the median value of the last half of the first condition and the median value of the first half of the second condition. Following that, you'll subtract the smallest value from the largest value. And finally, you'll want to note whether the level change is in the direction of improvement or deterioration. The most important part of between condition analysis is to identify the change in trend direction. So if you look at graph F in this figure, you'll see that that's accelerating to decelerating. So in graph F, the first condition, the line is increasing or ascending, and then our variable changes, our new condition starts, and the data path is now decreasing. So our trend goes from accelerating to decelerating. So that shows that there is a direct change in the dependent variable based on that change in condition. Another thing to take note of or to highlight would be zero accelerating to accelerating. So that would be graph F in this figure. Graph H in this figure. So that would be your zero line, your flat line trend, so 0. And then condition 2 starts and your graph is now accelerating. So there's also a clear behavioral change there as well. So that is sort of overall goals with between adjacent analysis, between adjacent condition analysis, sorry. We'll go down and break that up a little bit more and then how we can look at to see functional relationships.